episode 6 of Spooky Chris. This is the occasional once-in-a-while podcast that I do, Chris Ringler, talking about horror and pop culture and weird stuff, just kind of bumbling through my brain. Episode 6, yeah, wow. Look at me go. So primarily I'm a writer. I'll try to read more fiction on here as I chug along. You can find all my books on Amazon.com. You can find my fiction, just kind of stories and stuff, on SpookyChris.com. That's kind of who I am, where I am. This weekend we have an event coming up in Flint. Son of a gun. I'm looking for a file and I found it. What do you know? Which that kind of leads into what I was going to talk to. But yeah, we have an event coming up. And then I'd hoped that I'd be able to book more events this year, because I've released the new book. And then I kind of did a 10th anniversary edition of an older book. And I am in the middle of kind of working through the revisions for another book that'll be a collection. And so in kind of trying to book some shows, one of the shows I wanted to do desperately, I found out about last year, was called StokerCon. It's going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which, for anyone not in the Mitten state, it is on the west side of the state. It's kind of one of the up-and-coming areas of the state. That's kind of where a lot of folks are kind of looking at. It's definitely an affluent part of the state, for sure. But there's going to be this convention called StokerCon. And it's funny because, so in 2005 I went to something called World Horror Con, and that was this big literary convention that moved around the country, and I think it actually might have done a couple international gigs along the years, but where they would award notable horror authors, and they would kind of get all of the horror folks, or a bunch of them, together for panels and discussions and pitch sessions, and just to kind of meet and mingle. And it was pretty cool because when I had gone, I mentioned in an earlier podcast, I was able to stay with some folks that most of them are kind of luminaries in the bizarro fiction world now, which is kind of fun. Something I didn't even know existed back then until then. I got to briefly meet Mick Garris and talk to him. Kind of got to see a bunch of fascinating people. Had a great time. All in all, and one of the things I did there, I did a couple pitch sessions, which pitch sessions at these kind of things are not a real fun time. I got to be honest. It's funny. I signed up for one, and for whatever reason, I got two. One was with Tor, so a bigger press, and then one was just like a small one, smaller press. And so you got 10 minutes to kind of pitch your whatever, your book, your project. And I decided I was going to pitch my novel, which became A Shadow Over Ever. I had it, at least the first kind of. I had it together. I did some more work on it, afterwards, just because it needed more work. But I had the book done essentially, and I had the hardest time. I remember sitting, because the people I was staying with kind of had a publishing. They were connected to publishers, and they in the room next to us decided to have a publishing party. And I adiosed out of that, which, shame on me. I wouldn't have, I just wasn't into the party scene. And I probably missed opportunities to meet some interesting folks. So I adiosed out of that and ended up kind of walking the streets of Manhattan and sitting and trying to work out how I was going to pitch this book. So Shadow Over Ever was a long gestating book of mine, and I love it, but I still have a hard time describing what it is. It's the story of a kind of lonely atheist hillbilly that is kind of tormented by the town kids, and he goes nutty and decides to get revenge one night. And so it's the story of this crazy guy who goes out to get revenge. So you have that. Except it's also connected to this bigger universe of the creation of existence, the creators of existence, the first children of Eden. Like, so it gets into this kind of weird religious stuff. And, you have this man who's an atheist, who doesn't believe in anything, who hates everything, who dies in the first quarter of the book, is enlisted to fight in this war for heaven. And it's got zombies and hillbillies and religious stuff and monsters and just weird stuff. I still have trouble on how I am supposed to kind of describe that. I don't know. I still have trouble. I do my best, but I have trouble with it. And so I'm sitting there in the lobby trying to figure out how on earth I'm going to describe this book for the pitch sessions. And the pitch sessions, again, you get 10 minutes. And so you get these 10 minutes, and 5 minutes of those 10 minutes is them describing themselves and what their publishing company does, which is cool, but you only have 10 minutes. So there's not like a dialogue or it's literally, hey, I'm from Joe Schmo Publishing. We publish blah, blah, blah. We're looking for blah, blah, blah. We've done blah, 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 blah. It's all their achievements. It's like, okay, cool. What's your pitch? So you have 5 minutes. So you feel this clock on you, like tick, 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 and you're trying to impress them. It was, for me, it was the worst. And both of them neither one was. And it's just, I don't blame the people. It's what that is. I don't think it's, I guess I didn't sound like I paid special or something for it. So, I feel like it would truly be miraculous if they found a pitch that they liked. If they're like, wow, that's amazing. I think we need to have that book. So you're already going in and they're, it's not like they are necessarily interested. I think they're open to it, for sure, but I don't think they're actively interested. Like, they didn't go there like, I am going to buy a book. So you're already kind of like up against it. So it wasn't, I guess it's good. I'll say this: it's good experience because it helps you with kind of the elevator speech on what your book is, and that is important. Is you should be able to tell people what it is, and especially if you, whatever creative endeavor you do, you should be able to tell people what it is and say, hey, I do this. So I did that, and one of the other things I did there is they had opportunities to read. They had rooms which I just can't imagine, like, because the people I was, because they're with kind of like did performances, and I can't imagine, like, it still boggles my mind, like, but did straight up like the one guy I guess is notorious for just kind of drinking while he does it and just kind of does a performance. And I didn't. It was like this big kind of auditorium, and they had a bunch of authors there, and they were it was like a contest, I guess. And I took one of my stories, and it was, I liked it back then. I for sure have written better stuff since then. But I took it, and I said, to heck with it, and I read, and it scared the heck out of me. I still am kind of shocked I did it, especially in front of, again, kind of legit famous authors. And it was a cool experience, but I'm not good at reading. I don't know that I'm great. Like, I get nervous, I hurry, I kind of spaz out a little. It's interesting / I don't know. I ran into one of the people, like kind of the most famous author that was there, in the elevator, and he said, "Oh, hey, I remember, I was there, heard your story, it was really good." I didn't ask him because it's one of those things, like, I don't ask stuff that there could be a negative answer to, because you're just setting yourself up for, like, oh, hey, yeah, that was interesting, So I don't know. I'm sure he didn't, moisten his pants about it. But it's, it is what it was. And it was, it was positive feedback. That's cool. Like, I appreciated that. Like, it's you'd want that, or you'd want kind of someone that, like, I think that's got a lot of potential, but you could do this. Like, that's what you would want to hear. Like, I don't know that you'd ever want to hear the but like, I think that someone trashing you would be the worst. But I hate reading. So I'm doing the StokerCon in May, and I signed up to read. I'm going to be vending there, but I signed up to read, and I part of me is like, no, don't do it. But then I'm also like, I've had to kind of adapt and evolve in that I need to kind of get myself out there. I need to sell books. I need to kind of get my name out there. The only way to do that is to do this stuff. So I'm going to force myself to read. Actually, I'd signed up, and they were like, well, cool, we'll put you on a list, but unfortunately everything's used up. But we'll put you on a list. I don't know how. I have a time. So I have 15 minutes to read a story, and I think I know the story. I was going to write something new, but I'm going to try this one first. And it's scary. It's super scary because I'm going to be reading, with other authors, and I'm the third guy, so it's going to be, that's daunting. And then you don't want to bomb, because that's going to be the worst. Because reading, and I've done that enough, where there's not, kind of any, there's a polite reaction at the end, like, oh, clap, clap, clap. And it's not like you really feel like people are going to, oh my gosh, holy cow. Like, I don't write stories necessarily like that people just, like, their eyeballs explode. But you want to have them invested in it, and it's just, all of it's so scary. I just don't know. I don't know. It's all just scares the heck out of me. So I think I have the story. I wrote, me and my friends wrote Bigfoot stories a couple years ago and read them on our the other podcast I do. And so I'm going to read that one. I think I'm going to go over it and kind of clean it up. It's been a couple of years. I'm going to clean it up and see what it looks like. Because I want to read something, because I felt like the story was pretty good. And I want to read something good. And again, like, I'm trying to just read something good and not get in my own head and like, oh, it has to be this and it has to be that. And it's like, no, I'm just going to go and try to read something good. I know how I know what I can do. I know what I can, my skills as a writer. I know what I bring to the table, as it were. I don't know about you. I've never been great at reading. It's easier now, like with doing podcasts now for a couple of years, so it's easier to kind of do this and talk to a microphone and all of that. But man, I don't know. I still have trouble, because I know some people like you to act it out and get into the character. And oh my gosh, the monster was coming and its eyes were dripping. That's not really my bag. I can do it. I can, if the story calls for it, I can fake it to make it. And that's sometimes kind of the old adage, and I think it's just such a stupid adage, but it's not untrue. Like, it's the whole idea of, like, you know what, you may not want to do it, but you got to do it. It's kind of how I always felt about homework, or work at the office or something. I may not want to do it, but I have to do it, and it's better I do it and get it done than to let it hang over my head and kind of cast its shadow on me and kind of do that. It's better just to kind of tackle it head on and do it and get it done. And I think that's easier than anything. So I don't know, but we'll see how this goes. It's going to be interesting. It'll be a cool show. Like, I've never done a 4-day. It's a 4-day show, which is weird for me. And there's there's a dinner and all kinds of crazy business. So I'm going to try to go and mingle it up. I don't get out to that kind of stuff ever. Like, I'll do shows, but like, I'm just as a vendor. So I'd like to I have the opportunity and I have the ability just to kind of go and make the most of it, and I want to. but man alive, is it scary. But at least I'm going to kind of go in there. I mean, I got nothing to lose. At this point, I've put out a bunch of freaking books. You know, nobody's going to take that away. They could say you're a bum, that you're no good, but, you know, shucks, I can tell that to myself every day for free, so what do I care? So I truly have nothing to lose. It's just a matter of kind of going in there and just doing it, and it's you know, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be scary. I don't like, and I wonder, you know, I can't imagine when you first get started as a performer and you're going out acting or, you know, playing music, singing, you know, with like an instrument. At least you can kind of hide behind that. You know, and same with the character. Kind of, you may be terrible at portraying that character, but at least you can kind of hide in the character, so it's not you. But man, without something to hide behind, it's may I'll take some kind of a mask or an outfit. That would be funny, but a little bit much, I think. So that's where I'm at, trying to figure out this whole reading thing. And like I said, I think I have the story. I couldn't find it. Technology is amazing, but man alive, I have files all over the place. And the file for this was just like on an old computer, and I'm like, why didn't it get transferred to where it needed to be? Because that was stupid. I don't know. Whatever, I'm glad I found it. So at least that's something. But man, I have duplicates, triplicates, like multiple versions of stories in multiple folders and all this stuff. It's weird. I don't necessarily name stories what they should be named. I don't know. I'm crazy. I don't make any sense, but hopefully you, a good friend, are having a good day. I appreciate you listening. We'll see what the future brings, but hopefully it's something creepy for everybody in the best of ways. Bye.